All right, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Jarrod. I'm a recovering addict, 35, married to a beautiful woman. We have 5 kids and a dog. What else
Okay.
you got?
Well, do you want to give a little background? Why don't you start with maybe go back even to when you were like a teenager? Seems crazy, but that's what started, I'm sure, and that's probably a lot of people.
Yeah, most definitely. Teenager, wow, you really making me tap into the old memory here. I did say I was 35, right?
Right.
So that's 20 years you making me go back? Good God. Alright, so teenager, I was probably, your typical teen, love sports, hanging out with friends, chasing girls. Sorry, babe. It was kind of life, man. But I think a shift happened somewhere in that age group where as teens you really don't understand it. Let me put this down. Depression starts to hit, and at that time, if I'm remembering correctly, getting help was how I felt embarrassing. You didn't want to be on medicine, you didn't want to talk to doctors about your problems, and of course your friends don't understand, or at least the people I was running with, because we were all pretty much doing the same thing. So as an outlet to mask what I know now as depression, the whole mental health aspect, drinking, partying, drugs came into play. And what once started as fun ended up becoming like a life-altering problem for me. And I'm just blessed to be here.
Well, I would elaborate a little bit.
On what part?
Because there was depression, and then you started drinking and using drugs, but maybe get into what that led to that really altered a huge part of your life.
So as that continued, right, at this point I know, hard drug use comes into play. So to be completely transparent here, my drug of choice was cocaine. You start chilling, everything in life that you once wanted to accomplish kind of just goes down the drain because my one focus became chasing that high. And no matter what it took, whoever I had to hurt, whatever I had to take to get it, I did it. While I'm on that, I want to apologize for anybody that might watch this to see it. I am sorry for any pain, hurt that I may have caused during my own struggles. But to go back to it, I watched, people who I was close with keep progressing in life, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get ahead. And, the saying is true, you are your own worst enemy. And what began to happen with me is I just continued spiraling downwards. Did a 9-month stint in jail, came home as a felon, which, people don't really tell you how that affects your life until you're in it. But even having that on my record and only serving that little bit of time altered the next 7 years of anything I could do with my life. So having untreated depression, now I'm adding all these obstacles that I gotta overcome on top of that, just created more for me to undo. And with that, the drinking, the drugs just continued. this point, I had my first child. And I think to this day, that's still pretty difficult for me to even talk about or deal with, because I wasn't the father that I would have wanted around. And it's tough, you know? And as addicts, we don't think about a lot of that shit when we out here doing whatever it is we doing. Y'all hold on. What's next?
So it went from, you had one child, and this was when you first came home from jail.
Right.
Couldn't find a job, still depressed. Obviously, jail didn't help you treat any depression. Now you're a felon, so you're drinking more than you did previously. Doing drugs more or as much.
Right.
And then, did you get help or did you have another baby?
Man, nah. Continued to self-medicate. Didn't want to deal with the shit that I caused in my life, and the only thing that I knew was alcohol.
Did you know that there was places or people that you could reach out to, or did anybody try to talk to you about that, or at this time did you not even know that was an option?
I think I knew, but I didn't want it, to be honest. You know, I think of all people, you know me pretty well, so me swallowing my pride and asking for help has always been something difficult for me. Especially something of that nature, right? Because I didn't know that I had a problem, which was the problem. I just knew that if I didn't want to deal with the issue, I would just get drunk. But that never helped me fix the issue. It just made everything in my life 10 times worse. So yeah, I ended up having a second son, which he came right around my breaking point. It's one of them days you just kind of never forget. Man, we got a tissue somewhere.
Hang on. Well, why don't you, so you said that you think that you knew that there were places to get help that you just didn't want to, but realistically, looking back at it, where would those places have been, or do you think that they're not as prevalent and talked about as they should be? Because honestly, like, I can think of, like, maybe going to the hospital, but other than that, I don't know where people could turn and not feel judged.
Right, and I think that's the problem. That's where I think the thought of stuff being embarrassing, but because of how people look at you when you come to tell them about what's going on with you. So I think that hurts a lot of us addicts from even wanting to open up. But to access that information nowadays is pretty easy. Quick Google search. Where do I? Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Where can I get help? Like where do I turn? And for me, that place that started to change that was Henrico County Mental Health.
So you say, like, after the second son, you felt that's when you hit rock bottom, but what did that look like for you?
So rock bottom, it's a broad phase, and I think everybody's rock bottom is different.
But what did it look like for you?
I'm getting there, slow down. Thank you. My rock bottom, right? My rock bottom, in hindsight, for most people probably wouldn't be a rock bottom. But when you know that you're born to do so much more than what you're currently doing, my outlook on life was extremely bleak and dark. I was 27, had 2 kids, was in a failing relationship, and mind you, I'm living at home with my parents. Dad broke, no job, no car, no license, and I could not see any way out of it. Like there was nothing. I would try to talk to people, and some of the people I was around, if I asked, "Hey man, can you help me find a job?" The answer that I received the most would be, "Oh man, let's talk about it. Let me buy you a drink." You know, I didn't want to drink, but hell, that's all I knew. Let me keep drinking. So what my rock bottom led me to is, again, self-medicating. August 15th of 2013, I went out, got as drunk as I possibly could, went back to my parents' house and sat in the driveway for what felt like eternity, sitting outside, yelling at the sky, asking God, like, why am I here? What? Shit. Why am I here? What's in this world for me? Like, why did you put me here? You know, all of that crazy shit. Because of course, you're drinking and you're not thinking. So I proceeded to go inside, and I dumped a bunch of pills in my hand, and I just started taking them, probably 2-3 at a time, because I didn't want to wake up. Cut that shit off. I didn't want to wake up. No intentions to wake up. I just wanted that to be the end. I had a 3-year-old son I was leaving behind. Another one. He was barely a month old. And I felt like life for them would have been much better without me there. Somehow, by God's grace, it didn't happen that way. Next day, well, I'll tell you a funny story, right? Let me get these tears out of my face. So in the midst of me popping all these pills, I must have passed out, right? So this story went, because this is what was told to me months later, that the mother of my sons came downstairs. He must have heard me collapse or something, and my mom came down the steps. So as any panicked parent or person, my mom said she saw me laying on the floor in the kitchen, unresponsive. So she didn't want to walk up to me in fear that, she was seeing her firstborn dead in her home. So my son's mom walked over and immediately said, "He's snoring," and yelled back. So, I ended up passing out. Next day, got rushed to the hospital, stomach pains and all kind of crazy shit. And while I'm in this room, and it probably was the most eye-opening experience that I ever had. I'm in there, I'm a wreck. I'm still angry. I couldn't understand why I was still alive. Like, I didn't want to. And out of nowhere, like a calming voice came over me, and I'll never forget it. It was like, you got a second chance at life. Make sure you do everything possible to make it. And I stopped and like looked around, and that was it. You know, I looked at the nurse. He took me upstairs to some like mental health ward, and for the first time in years, I rested. I laid in a room. It kind of reminded me of my jail cell. So, you know, it was sad at first, but I knew that's what I needed. I needed to disconnect from every single person, everything, no internet, no phone calls, no text messages, and I needed to just be alone with my thoughts because I ran from them for so long. Every thought that I had, every negative self-talk I ever had, I was running from it, and it put me in a place where there was nowhere to run, right? But with that, it offered me an outlet to talk to people that were professionals. They offered me help, guidance, and even medication, and that became the starting point to grow and actually change everything that I had done before. That was rough.
I know one thing that you mentioned was that they gave you medication, and I think like a lot of people get frustrated because the first one might not work.
Right.
So maybe it'd be helpful if you addressed that, because I know that the first one, it took a few for you to feel better long term,
right,
and feel like you had a grasp on like your mental health.
So when you start that shift, everything in life, you got to understand progress is a slow process. You know, you're trying new things, and speaking personally, I was trying new things because anybody that offered medication before as a doctor, I didn't want to take it. It was embarrassing. So I did. I probably tried like 2 or 3 different ones, had different effects. Some of them I couldn't sleep. Some of them made my thoughts go even crazier. Some of them made me gain a whole lot of weight. Like, it was a lot of trial and error before, you know, I finally had the right balance. That was probably my first full year of sobriety, was, you know, taking medication, and just that whole, like, saying one day at a time really came into play.
How was it when you first came home with the people that previously you considered friends? Like, what did you realize about those friends? Like, were they really your friends? Were they people that you were around out of necessity, time? Like, were they just sucking time?
Right.
And how was it hard to navigate being sober? Because at this point you're sober and you really wanted to stay that way.
Mm-hmm.
Was it how was it to navigate being sober but also being a 20-something year old, also newly single 20-something year old?
I had one mission, and that was to stay sober. So it didn't matter for me. And this is to everybody out there. What I learned, and I learned it fast, right, is that my life, and I had 2 kids at this point, and both of them depended on me. I didn't know how the hell I was going to make it happen, but I was 28, jobless, fresh out of a hospital, single. But I was still broke, still living on my mom's sofa. But I knew one thing, and that one thing was, man, I'm not going to drink. And that was my first thought. And what I began to learn was that all of those friends that I thought I had, you know, they disappeared on their own. The only thing we had in common was drinking. And once I removed that, it also removed them. So
for people that are trying to be sober and live that lifestyle.
Go ahead.
That distracted me. I know that the big thing is like change.
Sorry.
Okay, change your circle.
This is as real as it gets.
Right. Change your circle, right? But, or maybe weed out the people who aren't necessarily supportive.
Yeah.
Because you still had people calling you after you told them that you were not drinking, not doing drugs, who wanted you to go out.
Listen, man. I did not care.
Right.
You should not care. If people still want you to go back to the same bullshit you have been doing before, cut them the fuck off. It does not help. Like, there's nothing good that comes of that. And that's another thing that I grasped. I saw what my rock bottom looked like, right? I saw it. I've drank damn near every bottle of alcohol, from liquor to beer that you could probably fucking name. And smoked all kind of crazy strains of weed and had, I don't have to go into it all, but I've done it, right? There's nothing new there. So what my mindset was once I started was, all right, I've seen what this looks like. I haven't seen what the top looks like. And that's what I'm still after. I'm still after growth, financial freedom, seeing my kids and our kids successful, our family grow. Like, it's a lot of goals that I have set that now I'm chasing. So instead of chasing that high, I'm after things that are beneficial to not just me, but everybody that I'm around.
And I think one thing that you're trying to grow is to provide, because some people they're going to become sober and it's not going to be easy to not have anybody there. So what I think one thing that you're passionate about is building a network of people who provide that support and also help, because one thing that has been really great for you is to find a passion.
Right.
So help people find a support group or a supportive group of people with a goal.
Right.
But also not just leave people hanging, like help them in other ways besides becoming sober. So finding like a purpose,
right,
passion.
And that's what most of us lack. And you start to learn that because, I'll speak personally. My parents had certain expectations on how they wanted me to live my life. And the things that I were excited about, they wouldn't get excited. So it caused me to question everything that I wanted to do. Nowadays, I don't care. You have to live your life based on what you want out of it. People grow. They've done what they wanted to do. They've done things their way. Like, you gotta find your lane, no matter what it is, and really go after it. It's nobody alive that should be able to stop you, dead or alive, like, period.
So what goals do you have moving forward?
Bro, that's a secret. Listen, goals moving forward, right?
Name a couple goals.
All right.
And this might not be for you, but what goals do you have in the way that you can help people?
Personally, this is an open invitation to anybody that might be struggling, that doesn't have that outlet. Hit me up. I think I've lost so many people, man, like, throughout the years, where if they had an outlet or somebody to talk to, they might still be here today. Like, this is an open invitation. I'm tired of saying RIP. Man, I lost people that on my darkest days I would call just to hear good words, and I can't even make that call anymore because they're not here. But had my phone been on, or had I started a video like this sooner and they saw it, maybe it would have sparked something in them to continue to live. So first and foremost, the invitation is open, man. Hit me up. Let's talk, chop it up. Whatever I can do to help you, I'm with it. Let's get it, lock it in. We also working on some other things that, you know, once Corona kind of settles along with doing whatever it's doing, we'll be ready to announce. I don't want to say too much. I'm big on energy and kind of, what's the word called where you, help me out here.
I don't know what that hand motion means.
Not mysterious, but
I don't know.
Like if you put on a lucky pair of socks for your team to win.
Superstitious.
Superstitious.
But I'm opposite of you.
All right.
I tell everybody everything.
Well, then I don't need her telling me. Because if I say, maybe I'll let her say it. I say it, somehow I believe it'll fuck it up in the long run. So we are planning some things to be more hands-on in the community. But as of now, the invitation is open.
I think you hit it when you said there's so many people dying. Or, you know, if they're not dying, if they're not living.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just not.
It's just a grim side on both.
Right.
And I don't think that what you just said hits it on the head too. They don't talk about that enough, right? Because in the addict's mind, going to jail was easy. You know, it was difficult, but it was easy. I'm still here. I could probably still get fucked up if I wanted to. Dying is easy. It's hard for all the people that you leave here. But for me, at that time, that was easy. That's what I wanted. It was the checkout. Like, I didn't have to do what was difficult. I didn't have to work for life. I didn't have to care what people thought about me, man. I could have died Jarrod the fuck up, or Jarrod the funny guy. Whatever you thought about me, that's what I was leaving, right? But what nobody talks about is what happens if neither one of those things take place and now you're in a hospital bed or something with like health issues and concerns. I mean, that's more of your lane, but I think that's a huge thing that people miss. A lot of people, man, a lot of shit can be prevented by opening up, like not being embarrassed to make that call, like just talk.
So let's just go to basics really quick, because I think like the one thing is addicts, like they can't see what could be better. So like, let's just pretend you weren't even working on all of this other stuff. Mm-hmm. Maybe like just give some hope in the aspect of
what can I do today?
What can you do today? And you were able to find a job working for the federal government, like you.
Yeah, felon working for the federal government.
Right. There's a way.
It's just funny how life works. But I'm big on mindset, and I'll speak on that. I started to do things that I thought I hated, right? Which the main one was reading. You know, everybody tell you, man, read a book, read self-development books, learn how to change your mindset. And that's all the shit I kept hearing. Mindset. Like, yo, what the hell is mindset? Right? So I picked up 2 books. And I think at 28, had my mom drive me to the bookstore. I went in and I got 2 books. I don't know these authors, never heard of them, but they ended up being excellent books that helped me start that mindset shift. The first one was the author T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and the second book I read was Grant Cardone, The 10X Rule. Both of those books, from the first few pages, spoke about my life. One of them, I think, was like, man, I'm 29, living in my parents' basement, a drunk, I'm broke, and this and that. And I started to look around my parents' house like, damn, I'm broke. I'm sleeping on the sofa like, oh shit, I can relate. And in that book, they give you a lot of tools, a lot of guidance, stuff that an everyday conversation you might not find unless you get with somebody that too is already working on their mindset shift to help you kind of get new lenses, man. Be able to see your way out of this dark ass hole that we dig when we doing the things that we're doing as addicts.
And by that, it hasn't always been easy.
Nah, it's
like since then.
Oh, life has thrown me punches left and right, man. And I think that's part of the process.
And
though.
there's been times when it's hard for you to pick yourself up. So
Hell
that's
yeah. Depression.
It's just being able
to do it and handle it differently.
Right?
Because no matter what, again, I know what my life was when I was drinking. So no matter what punches it throws at me now, it ain't that bad. Like life will never get that bad for me. I don't care what. God forbid, like throw it. You know what I'm saying? It might knock me down, but I know how to get up. That doesn't mean I'm like the toughest or like I just handle shit day in and day out without getting sad. Like hell, I still cry, still get upset, I still feel down. A little bit of self-doubt will creep in and there, but you make it through. And that's what people miss, you know, instead of me turning like, oh, I guess I'll just go get drunk. It's not changing. Hell no, I just keep moving.
And that's something that maybe a lot of people, they have resiliency, but they might not be using it.
Right.
So it's learning to use perseverance, but also learn how resilient you are. And that's something, since I've met you, you've had to focus on. Mm-hmm. And I've had to remind you of that hundreds of times. You've had to remind yourself. And you've had to practice being resilient.
Right.
And that is something now that you can help other people.
Yeah. Yeah, you've been instrumental and a key to any and all of this that that is considered growth. And learning that tool, right? Because I look at everything like tools in the work belt, right? I don't necessarily know if I had it, but talking to you and you sharing, you know, some of your stories with me and me sharing them with you and me watching you accomplish the things you did helped push me along. And I don't know if I ever thank you enough for that. Just watching how hard you worked when I first met you. Again, I was like 6 months sober then, like just finding my footing, trying to figure out life itself, and just seeing you motivated me. Like, damn, I gotta keep up. I can't play around. And it's dope.
Well, I think it's cool that you can be a motivation for somebody else.
True.
And probably will end up being that for a lot of people.
It's just time to give back. It's time, you know, I've been talking about this for years. I'm 7 years plus sober now. I wanted to get me right first. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I'm still figuring life out myself day in and day out, but I'll help however I can. And that's the key, you know, just to help, to be an ear for somebody that's lived that life. Like somebody that's been out there, probably around, you know, a lot of people. I'm here. You got anything else for me?
No, I think that's good. And I think somebody may watch it and pick, like, their circumstance is going to be different. They might not have a parent's house to sleep in. Right. That's probably more common than not. Like, they're not going to have parents' houses or friends' houses. But, you know, just to be clear, like, that's something that you're working on. Is we can give a little hint, providing, like, a space for people.
Yes. So, without saying too much, again, my own superstitious and energy, right? The whole Strength and Time label isn't just a website. It's going to be more. It will be more. And That's really all I can say.
Well,
It
I'm
will
just
be.
saying, if
we're
I was
we're
looking
going
at
to
this,
help out as
I'd be
many.
like, well, that guy got to sleep at his parents' house.
But
I'm saying, like, people can pick apart anything. But this isn't just for people that have a place to stay.
Right.
Like, let's first work on, like, mindset, but there are, like, physical things.
So now I gotta edit all that shit.
What? Take that part out.
No, go ahead.
Edit what?
Keep talking.
Oh.
Kobe. Oh, shit.
Well, how do you feel?
I feel good. I feel... I got that out. I just wanted to drop a little something to really just offer the invitation, and as details come out about our projects, we'll probably do a more formal sit down and go into details, man. Like, everybody wants details. Everybody wants to relate. Like, not people that know me don't even know most of the stuff I talked about, or at least from that aspect, you know, because I haven't spoken about it, only to you, and that's it.
Well, that's a good person to start with.
Listen, man, if anybody's watching this, right? If anybody's watching, I want you to share it with whoever you feel might need to hear it, and let them know they can reach out. You know, if they're on Twitter, you know, you hit the @Strength and Time, Instagram @Strength and Time, Facebook Strength and Time. Shoot me a message, and I want to see everybody win. Let's start to tackle this thing. We tired of writing RIP. All right.